Ladies and gentlemen, I have now the honor and the pleasure to present to you Stéphane Richard, the CEO and the chairman of Orange, and Axelle Lemaire, the Minister for Digital in France.
Contrabass.
I would like to start by saying how grateful we are that last year and this year the French delegation is the main delegation and to DLD. Last year we had 298 people. This year I don't know the final counting, but it's really substantial. We have here alliance of number of French players, among them Orange, French Digital, French government, and French Chamber of Commerce, and which are doing a lot of activities. We are going to have a terrific party organized by the French Embassy tonight at 7 o'clock at Rothschild Boulevard. Everybody is invited. And I would like to start with you, Minister Lemaire. Why is this interest in digital and why is this interest in Israel?
Good morning, Yossi.
Good morning and welcome.
Everyone, Tel Aviv and Startup Nation. Why would France be interested in what's happening in Israel? Because if you look at the world as a body, I would say that's where we breathe here. Maybe in France, that's where the heart beats. And I think we need both the heart and the lungs to create innovation, and we can be extremely complementary in terms of ecosystems. We have different challenges. We have a lot to learn, one from each other, but we face the same passion for innovation. I think we are two nations of ideas and spiritual involvement and a perpetual questioning and love for sciences. In order to prepare my visit to Israel, I was reading a book by Shimon Peres, and I think he's the best advocate ever for the role of sciences in leading the way, not only by technologies, apps, and gadgets, no, leading the way of where do we want to go together. So this is what I'm coming to see in Israel.
Good, and thank you. And by the way, all of us, dear Shimon, sent to you wishes for quick recovery. We really miss you. You were supposed to speak here tomorrow, and we hope that we will see you very soon again with us. Mr. Richard, you are running a huge company. How many employees?
160,000.
160,000. And tell us about your quest for innovation and what the company is doing in order to enhance innovation.
Orange has always been a company where R&D and innovation is very important. You know, a few years ago, it's in our labs that some key progresses have been made. For instance, the GSM that the world is using today has been created, invented by a Franco-German team. But I could mention a lot of other big steps that we made in our labs. Now, of course, today everything is so different because we have entered into this digital age. And meaning that innovation is totally different and should be managed in a totally different way than in the past. And today, what it's all about is open innovation, meaning that we see ourselves as some people in this digital ecosystem that can bring to all the innovators of the world, startups, developers, entrepreneurs, scientists, some help, some enablers, maybe some money from time to time, but more importantly, some skills, some people, some experts that can really be critical for them, because they will be able to really lever on our assets and our skills to be even more successful in their ideas and just be able to make them come to reality. So open innovation is for us the key choice that we made a few years ago, meaning that we want to open our minds, our doors, our windows to the world of innovation. Of course, we still have a lot of resources dedicated to innovation. Out of the 160,000 people, we have more than 3,000 people working in the innovation chain in the group, on apps, on networks, of course, because the first thing that we have to bring to the world is connectivity as a telco. And there's a lot also to improve in that area. But the world of new digital services is so vast that we think that we can also innovate in those new services. Let's take, for instance, the example of mobile banking. As you probably know, in Africa and the Middle East, where we are a very important player in this market, we have today nearly 20 million people using the mobile banking facility, and this has changed their daily life. The telcos have become the bank of Africa, and in fact, around this, which is an enabler, in fact, a lot of new businesses, services, or traditional services are able to plug, in fact, their services, and this has changed also a lot. So we can bring enablers to the world of innovation. That is mainly the way we see our mission. And last, we have 250 million customers in the world. And as I mentioned earlier, I think that in this digital landscape, the telcos are probably the ones that know the best people in their real digital life. Individuals, families, companies, millennials, old people. We know everyone probably better than anyone else. And this is a key asset that we can bring to you, to all the entrepreneurs and developers. It's just the real life, the real digital life of today and probably of tomorrow. That is the way I see Orange involvement in innovation.
Thank you. By the way, many of you are too young to remember it, but I would like to mention, you mentioned some early developments in Orange. Actually, the first country where you could sit in the comfort of your home and do shopping or read documents which are far away, etc., were France in the 70s with the Minitel. What was the name of this amazing service?
Minitel, yes.
Which preceded many, many things that we see them today happening. This is quite an interesting case. You were the first one, actually. Minister Lemaire, we see in the last 5-6 years amazing group of young entrepreneurs, very active, very quick, very dynamic in France. We see them all over the place. We see them in. They really became part of the global digerati. What is the policy of the government? How you encourage innovation in France?
I think for the first time, we addressed these young entrepreneurs by telling them, you're important for the future of the economy, the country, and for the way we look at innovation and its role in the world. And so we're here to help you. But you will get to decide what your needs are. So we will not create another big industrial plans or governmental programs or anything. We created a sort of open brand, a label which is called the French Tech, which is led by the entrepreneurs themselves, with the logics behind, which is set up a network. And what is the strength of the Israeli ecosystem? It's that mix of people, ideas, money, and structures, right? I call that an ecosystem.
And madness. Madness in the
Maybe
eye.
madness. I would call it creativity. Let's say creativity. And so it was, I think, the real shift from the 20th century, which was an economy based on materiality, on material infrastructures, on the industries, to a country based on immateriality, knowledge, education. And so the role of these young entrepreneurs is probably far way more important than what they think themselves it is. So we've created all the different tools, and I see that Avi Hassan, the Chief Scientist Officer in Israel, will be talking later on. And I'm surprised to see that what we've created in France, especially with the Public Investment Bank, but not only, is pretty similar to what has been into place in Israel for many, many years. So I think the similarities now between the two environments are getting closer and closer.
Now you cannot talk and I can talk. That's a good idea. Stéphane, how you mentioned open innovation, and all of us agree that this is very important, as we like to see the NIH syndrome, which was not invented here, which was usually the reaction of big companies 10 and 20 years ago when somebody small came to them and tried to show them, was replaced with what we called FOMO, fear of missing out, because the big companies saw that sometimes some good ideas are coming from small companies. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. The small companies are quick to come with development, but they have very big difficulties to scale, and you guys know to scale a lot. So, open innovation. Can you estimate with how many, or what is the order of magnitude, with how many startups your 120,000 people having dialogues all over the world?
Yes. So far, we have accompanied either by investment or by mentoring programs or by accelerators, incubators, everything. We have accompanied not far from 200 startups all over the world in 7 countries. And the target of our plan is to be a partner of 500 startups by 2018. So it's, of course, a small number if you consider that there are thousands of startups that are created nearly every day. But I mean, for an organization like Orange, it's a very substantial resource that we have dedicated in terms of teams, in terms of financial resources, to be a real partner of those small companies. Because it's not only a problem of will or of money. We know that the relationship between the developers, the startups, the young entrepreneurs, and a very large company like Orange is not so simple. It's not so easy. It's even, from time to time, a very difficult way, in fact. So we have to question ourselves in the way we are talking to those startups, because we are an organization with a lot of processes. Let's take the supply chain, for instance. It is very difficult to apply the same rules to Ericsson or Nokia and to a startup with 10 people. Very difficult. So, yes, we have to adapt the way we are managing some processes in our company if we really want to be a partner and a useful partner to startups. So it's really more than human or financial resources. It's really a mindset that we want to have. We want to listen to developers and startups. We want to meet with them, and any opportunity is interesting, especially this one, the DLD, which has become now, thanks to your team, Yossi, and yourself, one of the big events in the world around innovation and startups. We want to be there. This is also the sense of our presence here, because we want to be in contact with you. Of course, listen to your criticisms from time to time, because it's useful.
We are very good in that area.
and try to improve. And you see, if I may just, I want to add a word about what Axelle has just said regarding the French tech. Just to say that as a French citizen and as the head of Orange, I am really proud and grateful to our government. You know, it doesn't happen so often. So we are really grateful for what has been done in the way of recognizing the skills, the energy, the initiatives of French engineers, French companies in this digital age. I think that thanks to French tech and to this considerable energy that has been spent into this, especially by Axelle herself, France has become, how could I say, a special destination in the world, in the digital world. It is a place which is now perceived and recognized as really a key pole of innovation in the world. And this was absolutely not the case a few years ago. And I think that you have really worked for our country in a very concrete and very useful way.
That's very nice. What percentage of this change you attribute to Minister Lemaire?
She has spent, and she still spends, and I think if she is with us this morning in the middle of, you can imagine, a lot of other issues, because she's not only now the Minister for Digital Matters, but for the whole innovation issues in France. It's because I think, I don't want to, of course, to speak on behalf of her, but she thinks that it's very important on a personal level for her to be here this morning, but to be also in Las Vegas in every year in January, or in a lot of other events to promote French tech. And so, yes, of course, you know, in politics, it's also a matter of individuals, of involvement, of commitment, and on that field, I think everyone can recognize Axelle's contribution.
Thank you. By the way, I really would like to add, not to please anybody, but sincerely to add my impression. I'm traveling a lot, you know. I'm going to many conferences a year. I went to 4 years from now, you know, the Mobile World Congress. The French booth was the biggest one with this chicken or rooster or whatever this animal it is. What is the animal? Rooster? Look. I'm Jewish. I grew on chicken. You know, the only thing I know, for me, birds are divided to two parts: the chicken and the non-chicken birds. And
The problem is that I can't say the word in English because it's a cock.
cock, yeah. You don't say it in English. Call it rooster. Rooster is a much better, much more politically correct word. You have to explain to us why you decided, but I see this rooster in Spain, in Shanghai, everywhere. You know, it appears from nowhere, and in the last 2 years, you really see it all over the place. You are a very big sponsor here, and you really see very much involvement. Also, I must again praise the people of the Embassy and Business France. You know, they really help us to do terrific things. Come to the party they are doing tonight. Look, guys, you are Israelis. You like free things. They are doing a huge free party on Rothschild Boulevard. So don't miss it. Tell me, what are you offering offering the startup industry. You had this $200 million or something like 2 years ago. I don't know. Maybe it was shrink now to $50,000 or what? Yeah? Tell us about it.
Yeah, but this one doesn't work.
Make what we call domestically a shameless Zionist propaganda, but for France.
You want to hear propaganda, you'll hear propaganda. But maybe just by starting, why do I love startups so much? Because I find it funny. Not only funny, but so interesting and so progressive. I belong to a progressive government. What is progressive behind startups? The fact that they're small, and the small ones can actually threaten the big ones. This never happens in real life. So this is, and also because it all lies on values that I share about freedom, freedom of entrepreneurship, freedom of expression, neutrality in the world, globality, maybe realism and pragmatism as well. And I think these can be values. And I know that there are many people who are here, both French and Israeli. And I think it's also about the choice of belonging to two communities and two countries. I'm a dual national myself, and that is the world we want to live in. So behind, this sort of combat between David and Goliath, there's way more than that. The French tech, the shameless propaganda, it comes with a package. There's the French tech tickets. It's a visa program, a startup visa for foreign entrepreneurs who want to come to France. It concerns 200 people. They come, they get seed funds, they get fast track help with all the admin, including finding a house, a school for the kids and everything. And they get a reserved place in one of the best accelerators in France, that is Paris, but they can also choose whether they want to go to Marseille, to Bordeaux and drink good wine, to Grenoble and go skiing, or etc. 13 municipalities, one of the greatest in France, are involved in the program. That's the French tech ticket. I was with the French president a few days ago, and I said, we have 200, I want 2,000. So that's what we're working on at the moment. There's the French tech pass for the 50 best startups that are becoming scale-ups due to unicorns, and they get access to special fundings. We created a dedicated fund. It's 200 million euros, co-investing with VCs, with private investment funds in accelerators. That's very similar to the Israeli model of funding, actually.
You copied it.
No. We're doing it in the French way, in the sense that France is a bigger country with a bigger market, with many innovators across the country. So we had to create that network. So for the moment, we're partnering with 5 accelerators everywhere in France, and then that will become bigger and bigger. And then we created the French Tech Hubs, and there's a French Tech Hub in Israel. This is led by Franco-Israeli entrepreneurs who are passionate about what they're doing and want to help building that network at a more global level. So that's all part of the tools that are being implemented.
I'm going to face you with a difficult question. We are very nationalistic, and we like our startups to be domesticized in Israel. We don't like them to go to Berlin or to New York or to Paris. However, we like them to have marketing arms in these places. Suppose that an Israeli company wants to create a digital marketing company in Paris. Will they be entitled to this package of benefits? The answer should be yes. I give you a little hand.
Well, I have no other choice but to say yes. The idea is to create collaboration, cooperation, also from an R&D point of view, and I think we're both strong on R&D, and of course it's about thinking global, and maybe that's also what you're good at, is that you have no other choice to think global. It's very easy. for a small company in France to think, oh, I'll start with the French market first and then see, and if it works, I might go to Germany or Spain. No, they have to think North America, think Asia, think Africa and South America as well. So, and that's, I think, in order to reach out, you know what best place than Paris? Take the fintech, for example. Fintech. In one single place, you'll have Paris Europlace, which is a very, very strong market in traditional finance, and you'll find all the startups that offer innovative products and services in the finance industry. It's true that in Germany you have Frankfurt and Berlin, but they're split. And London, well, no IPOs at the moment because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So there's clearly a kind of historic opportunity to build closer cooperation with Israel.
Good. Stéphane, your company actually acquired Orca in Israel, and nobody knew what is electronic program directory on the internet. Your company kind of preceded the time. Now it's called Via Access, I think, right? Which is a subsidiary of your company. You have here an accelerator which is very active. How do you see the future involvement of Orange in the local market here, in the local developer and startup market here?
Yes, as you mentioned, we have here a subsidiary, the Axelle Lemaire, which is a key element for us in the TV business, let's say, because they provide not only Orange, but a lot of other big international players like Deutsche Telekom, Singtel, or others in TV middleware, which is a key element in the user interface of video programming, pay TV, and so on. So the Axelle Lemaire has 120 people here in Israel.
Nice.
Yes, nice. And by the way, it's a company which is developing very, very quickly. So it's nice also.
Hagai Barel, are you here? Stand up. Hagai Barel. No, he's not. He's the founder.
He was with us yesterday, so maybe. So the Axelle Lemaire is part of Orange and is here in Israel. Now we have also recently decided to launch an accelerator for startups, and we had a few very nice startups this morning with us. We are going to invest also, and we have announced this morning a significant investment in SecBuy, which is a startup in the cybersecurity area here in Israel. But it is only the first investment, I hope, of a long story. We are also a partner of a Franco-German, very large corporate venture fund with an arm here in Israel called Iris. It's a fund that we created with Publicis in France, and now we are going to also be with 10 major German big industrial firms. So it's a very interesting project. It's a 300 million euros corporate fund. So as you can see, we are just in the beginning of, I hope, a story with the innovation ecosystem here in Israel. We have a lot of partnerships also with universities, with Technion and other ones. And what we want to do is really to enrich, deepen our presence here, directly with our teams, but also with all the other resources that we can dedicate.
Thank you.